to get out of the chat and into your heart. I'm not going to sing. Get out of the chat and into the live. Good to see everybody here today. It is Friday. What's the date here? August 11th, which means it is time for the question of the week, which is, what's the officiant timeline for creating a custom wedding ceremony? You can be like Cantor Mark, who is a grizzled veteran who is in the chat, who is working on a wedding right now for a wedding he has tomorrow. Hey, sometimes you can get away with it. So, Mark, thank you for both joining us and being awesome at what you do. Don't take Mark as an example if you want peace of mind. But I do love that you are here as always. As I said, there's so many wonderful people here, not the least of which is Jennifer Obokata, who everyone who is in Unboring Wedding Academy will be very familiar with, because she is the operations manager. She keeps everything straight. She schedules my appointments. I'm not sure what she's doing here. Does this count as work time, Jennifer? But so awesome to have Jennifer O here. And I know when I went to Vegas with my wife for Wedding MBA, everyone looked at my wife, Naomi, and was like, Jen, it's so nice to meet you. So there's my wife, and then there's Jen. Both very helpful, both of whom I don't know how I would do what I do with Unboring Wedding. So awesome to see everybody. Red is here from Innisville, working on multiple scripts as well. Boy, this is wedding season, eh? We are in it. Darren is here. Good to see you, Darren. Carrie, always amazing to see you from Saskatoon. And Chuck is here from Massachusetts. I did see somebody who say, first time here, you're in Rhodes. Okay, cool. Suzanne is here in Rhodes on holiday, so having an unboring hour to myself. Wow, in 35 degrees. 35 degrees. You're using Celsius, right? Because you're in the UK, right? I was like, if you're an American and you're saying it's 35, you're freezing your butt off, but you're a fellow Celsius user. So you're frying. Yeah, it is warm today in New Brunswick. I can't wait for my wedding this weekend. It's been on the calendar for a while. I am having a wedding outside tomorrow on Ministers Island. Now, if you're familiar with the environs that I live in, the Bay of Fundy is the largest ocean tide in the world. And so there's this cool little island in the Bay of Fundy near St. Andrews where you can only get on it at low tide. So today is the rehearsal. I'll be driving my motorcycle across there at low tide. It's a land bridge. There's not even a bridge. It's just you drive across kind of the rocky ocean floor, pull yourself up onto the island. The Van Horn Estate is there from 120 years ago. This is the guy who built the railway, last spike, all that stuff. He has the family residence, the estate, the barn. Now it's basically a museum. But there's a wedding going to be happening there right on the bluff overlooking the water, and it's going to be awesome. But we have to skitter across there. You have a few hours. I've been hiking there with my family, and of course you go and you do the grounds, but you have a few hours, 4, 5, 6 hours at the most on, and then you got to get off because there's no way off. There's no bridge or anything like that. So that's going to be cool from a wedding perspective of getting there and getting back. And so that's my weekend. Alan's here. Alan, I just sent you. Hope you got my email. Multiple scripts on the go, but Alan, Carrie's got multiple scripts on the go. Alan, you've got a wedding coming up. I just read over your script because, of course, you're an Unboring Wedding member. And I'm going to publicly say it blew me away. I loved it. I wish everybody could read Alan's story. It was so, so good. So congrats. I just sent you that email maybe a couple hours ago. I'll say it here again. Absolutely awesome. Katie, I love your energy in the chat. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for that. And Joan and Fred here. Hi from hot Southwest Florida. Good to see you. And wow, Juan Carlos is here. Cool. I'm glad you're here. First timer. Wonka's Kitchen. So you're a food guy on YouTube, perhaps. Carol, today is your 44th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. 44 years. Wow. I'm coming up on 18, I believe. I'm stumbling through. How long have I been married? Live here on the internet for thousands to see. Eddie's here. Okay, I love in the chat. Keep staying busy. Keep chatting with each other. I don't know, deals, meet, network, whatever you want to do. But I do want to get to, because people tune in, they see the title. I want to describe to you the ideal officiant timeline. Now, the reason why I'm getting to this today is because it's question of the week, and I like to tackle questions that I get from folks. And I get this question with all levels of emotion attached. The the real thinkers who say, I'll get emails. Mark, what's the ideal officiant timeline? Some people are wondering, do I have enough time to, buy your course and go through it? And others are saying, what's the officiant timeline? How much time do I have? Am I screwed? I only have 2 weeks left. Help me. I'm not even sure what steps to do, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have been watching my YouTube channel for any number of years or anything, like any amount of time, some people watch every video in one day, you will be more or less familiar with the timeline that I follow. Now, I followed this timeline years ago before I had somebody like Jen Obakata who kept me straight and kept my appointments in order. It is foolproof, even if you are somewhat, I would say, more prone to being disorganized, because you're going to drive through certain steps or traffic cones. In Canada, we call them pylons. I've heard people say that's my tell as a Canadian. We say pylons, but maybe in the States or other places, it's traffic cones. I think it comes from hockey, where, as a kid, you would have pylon on the ice and learn to skate around it. But there are going to be kind of markers, milestones in the wedding ceremony creation process that you cannot drive through without emailing your couple or kind of knowing that a lever is pulled. And that to me has included things like sending the contract, payment, first payment, second payment, getting answers back and forth. And so really all I would do, even when I had many, many weddings, sometimes on the same weekend or whatever, is just look down my calendar and say, okay, today is, for example, 3 months before, so I need to contact that couple. And every week I would look at my Saturday and basically do the tasks related to the wedding, either coming up or 3 months away. I know that sounds confusing. There are better ways, such as getting an incredible operations manager or putting these markers in your calendar. I get asked that a lot of the time as well. But I want to make today relevant to first timers who are just officiating for a friend or relative, one timers, one offers. Although if you do amazing, I mean, everybody who purchases Unboring Wedding Academy and comes in as a member, they crush it the first time and then they stumble into becoming a professional. So I can't help that if that happens to you. But if you're convinced that you're just going to do this once, I want this to be relevant to you. And if you are a pro wondering what is the process for having weddings, what's the rhythm, what's the groove you get into, I want that to be relevant to you as well. So I'm going to be pulling from a bit of my academy training, which is just, if you're not talking about money or contracts or whatever, you're just doing this for a friend or relative, I'm going to be pulling from that timeline and sprinkling in, of course, the pro stuff where you need to, for example, send a client this thing or that thing, payment, contract, that kind of stuff. And so you can just kind of like disregard that if that's not relevant to you. But it's really important for pros to understand the process, the pipeline, the timeline. And so I just want to jump back into the chat here really briefly. Steph is here. Anyone officiate in Quebec? Cool. Is that where you're officiating? I know Quebec allows friends and relatives to officiate now a few times, something like 3 times, something like that. It's the most progressive province in Canada, I would say, in that regard. Canada is really, really tough. And so it's cool to see that in Quebec, and I really, really hope it continues. Eddie's here from Michigan. Carrie's got 2 ceremonies tomorrow, then one on the 8th, 9th, 16th. Wow. Oh my gosh, good to see you here, Sabra. You just got the Wedding MBA Facebook group going for people who are going, officiants and celebrants who are going to be in Vegas in November. So awesome to see you here. I know you're so busy and totally thrilled that you're here. Paul's here from Trumbull. Good to see you. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. John says, am I frozen or is Mark frozen? Are we both frozen, John? Man, I hope I'm not frozen. I have been having internet problems. We had a huge storm go through here today, but I'm hardwired. I'm doing the best I can. Diane is here from Vegas. I love to see you here, Diane. I know we built you your website. You're really taking off. You're doing awesome. And so Jason says getting emails, replies. Yeah, who doesn't love their inbox? Justin's here. Good to see you. Okay, let's get into it. I am going to recommend that you give yourself 4 to 6 weeks to plan the wedding ceremony with your couple and hit all the markers, the milestones in the process really comfortably. Now, remember, it's not just about your comfort as the officiant or celebrant. It is also about the comfort of the people that you need information from. Okay, so you are going to have to send information, questionnaires, things like that to your couple, possibly to friends or relatives. I'm just going to teach you my process. You can adapt it and tweak it. But we never want, I learned this early on, we never want people to feel pressured like they don't have enough time, because either they're just not going to do it or they're going to do it really poorly, and they will remember the stressful, chaotic process that we caused. And if you're a professional, you want great reviews. You want the kind of reviews where people say it was handled, we felt so comfortable, we felt at ease, we knew what to do all along the steps of the way, we never felt rushed. That is the goal. So we do not want to, I'm just laughing. You're definitely hardwired, Mark says. I don't even know what that means, but it made me laugh. So yeah, that is what we want. So I, of course, wrote an entire, yeah, I'm sure that's making a lot of noise, and that fell over. I wrote an entire book on the meeting you are going to have with your couple for the first time. So if you are a friend or relative, your first step will be to reach out to your couple, I would say 2.5 months ahead of time, and start saying, when can we sit down for our 1 hour wedding ceremony workshop? And you are going to plan the ceremony with them. That's your first step as a friend or relative. We'll come back to that. Now, if you are a pro and you get reached out to, I'm booked over a year in advance at this point. I'm booking late fall 2024. What happens there, and Jen is here, she could attest to that. I always meet with the couple virtually. I call it a chemistry check. This could be a year in advance. It has happened where it is 6 or 7 weeks in advance if I have an opening or a cancellation. I'm not all that comfortable booking a client with less than 6 weeks before the wedding because of the steps that I know have to happen. But let's say it's a year in advance, let's say it's 6 months in advance, let's say it's 3 months in advance, that's still very comfortable. If it's really far in advance and I do that chemistry check with the couple, they want the style of wedding that I provide, I really like them and want to work with them, then we lock it in and I send them, Jen sends them. She's here. She's going to say, how much credit is Mark going to take today? So Jen will send them the retainer booking link. So I accept payments right through my website with a plugin, a WordPress plugin called Gravity Forms, and they can pay right through the website. So I ask for the 50% retainer of my fee up front, whether that is a year in advance, year and a half, 3 months, whatever it is. That is what activates the process. Attached to that is my contract. So they will read through the contract, agree to it. It has things like what happens if you cancel, what happens if I cancel, is there travel, all the contingencies. Basically, I see this a lot in officiant and celebrant Facebook groups. Anything that can happen, you want that to be on paper in writing that you can point to. You don't want to be making decisions on the fly. For example, if the couple cancels the rehearsal or something, well, if the rehearsal's included, do they want partial refund because something happened? You're like, no, it's included in the fee. So you just want to be very clear about your contract. And when I send them the payment link, they have to check a box that says, I have read this contract, and by proceeding and sending payment, I accept all the terms. I don't want their money if they don't accept the full terms of the contract. So, like I say, that could happen a year in advance, 6 months in advance, 3 months in advance, or at the most 7 weeks in advance. For a full-blown wedding, I'm definitely not comfortable booking closer to that. Now, an exception to all this, of course, is if you're an officiant who pulls out a script and is going to meet somebody and do a quick signing or something. We're not talking about that here today. That is obviously totally doable if a couple is like, just get us married because there's an overseas deployment. Okay, we're talking about a full-blown love story based, the full deluxe wedding ceremony that really takes some planning, and the couple wants it personalized. That is the understanding today. So I will just tell that couple after they pay that we will reach out, Jen will reach out about 3 months before the wedding date. So that means Jen and I are always looking down the line 3 months at the Saturdays coming up. She's kind of skipping over everything when she sits down and looks at what's Mark's calendar 3 months from now. Okay, so that's what you always want to do. And when I was starting out, I was doing this myself. 3 months from now, I would look. Oh, it's definitely time to reach out to Sarah and Jenny because it is May and I'm officiating for them in June, July, August. So I'll reach out to them and say, it is time to book our wedding workshop. I want to have that meeting with them 4 to 6 weeks before the day. So like I say, this gives us a few weeks to look at our calendars, our more immediate calendars, and say, yeah, we can meet on Tuesday evening 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now. That's perfect. Okay. So I like to give people like a huge flexibility window for when we can sit down for them for 1 hour and book that in. The reason why we don't do that a year in advance is because who knows what their calendar is going to look like. And I used to say, let's get a tentative date in the calendar. A few years ago, I did that. But then I just realized it always had to be changed and it was kind of pesky and annoying. So instead, I would just, like I say, look down 3 months and send out emails as part of my regular checklist routine every day. If you go through, check the wedding 3 months in advance and send that email out. You can now with Gmail, you could schedule those to go out way in advance. When you book the wedding, you could probably set the schedule with Boomerang or things like that with email schedulers. Okay, so now let's say you've sent that email, you've figured out when you can sit down with them. 4 to 6 weeks, like I said, before the day is where you sit down and you go through their entire wedding ceremony. You brainstorm it. If you're a member of Unboring Wedding Academy, you know this is stage one. Conduct a thorough workshop. You brainstorm with them and walk them through everything that's going to happen, could happen, will happen on their wedding day. I use a planning spreadsheet that I've honed over years and years and years. That's in my quick help package. That's in the Academy package. And so you want everything. You want the ceremony to be everything they want it to be and nothing they don't want it to be. That's my mantra. Everything they want it to be, nothing in there that they don't want. That's really important. So coming out of that 1 hour meeting, you have all the information that they want in their ceremony, every element tweaked. For example, this weekend, we talked it over. Last weekend, they wanted a toast. This week, they want to do that photo moment. No photos during the processional, please. So I'll say that in the opening remarks. But then, of course, after the processional, I'm going to have a fun photo moment where the guests are going to actually take a selfie, the bride said. The selfie, saw that, where they're going to pose, but all the guests are going to have. So I'm looking forward to that. That's the kind of stuff where sitting down with them, making sure all the language you say is exactly what they want. Do they want a handoff at the front where if it's traditional wedding with a bride and dad, do you say, who gives this woman? Or do you say, do you give your blessing and support? Or do you have no question? You're going through all the nitty gritty. And at the end of that meeting, 90% of the things, 95% of the things I would say that they want. In my experience, and I tell the couple this right off the bat, we're going to have a meeting here for an hour. We're going to go through the ceremony. And at the end, you're going to feel so much better. And you will know 95% of the things. It's not rocket science. You didn't need to do homework. Okay. So you come out of that meeting. And I always tell the couple, this is your next stage as the officiant or celebrant, is you're not going to send them a spreadsheet. You have a spreadsheet or notes of everything they want. And now it's time to make their script. Again, this is the ideal time for this. I do this the very next day. I over promise. No, I under prom. No, I promise and over deliver. I under promise and over deliver. So I've taken to saying to the couple, over the next few days, I'm going to get you your script. I'm going to turn all this data into your script. And of course, that's stage 2 of Unboring Wedding Academy, where you have the template, you start filling in all the details. You don't have to start with a blank screen and a flashing cursor. If you're a pro, I recommend keeping kind of a template that you can fill in, tweak, add some things and adjust. But, at least half of it is already there. You change the names, you put things in, you move things around. And I tell the couple, I'm going to send you that script. It looks like a movie script, all the times and how we're lined up at the back and what cues are happening and who's moving when and where. The talking is in black, the stage directions are in blue. This is another one of my things. A script with only the words that the officiant says is just half done. The other half needs to be all the moving and the music and the cues and who's walking and who's standing and where they're sitting. This, again, is why you don't want to write that from scratch every time. You want to have that template, which is why I provide that in Unboring Wedding Academy. You take that, you tweak it once, and you kind of basically have that as your starting point from that point on. So in my timeline, the next day, the couple gets their wedding script, which means, again, remember, it's 4 to 6 weeks before the day. They love it. I always ask them, please sign off on everything in here, all the elements. They can send it to a planner. They can send it to anybody else who needs it. I know sometimes officiants feel like it's very proprietary. They don't want the scripts being sent around. I'm good with and maybe it's because I don't, my language around the elements, as I've been on here before saying, is just very straightforward. They will now exchange rings, etc., etc. I'm not too proprietary around the language in the elements. My opening remarks are very down to earth. So I tell the couple, share that with your planner, share that with whoever needs to know what's going to happen. So now we're at the point of 4 to 6 weeks before the day. You have had the meeting with them. You know everything you want in their ceremony. You know all the things they don't want. They have their script. They feel great. They can share it. Now, in the same email, I send the script. Jen and I send their survey. I have noticed that couples need about 2 to 3 weeks comfortably to answer the questions that I want to ask them to build their love story. So in the same email, because again, we're trying to reduce the clutter. They've got all kinds of vendors that they're dealing with. Same email. Here's your script link, and here is a survey link. I use Google Forms. Please fill out these questions. Get them back to me at your comfort. And the magic I tell the couple too is, I want both sides of the story. I don't want one person doing this for both of you. I want to know how you met and the first date and the proposal. I want to know the two sides of the story, what you love about each other, that kind of thing. I want to hear it from both of them. And then I start to weave that together into a beautiful kind of chronological blow by blow love story with the two perspectives. Okay. So like I say, 2 to 3 weeks. Once I send that off, I'm not really doing anything on that wedding. Again, it's 4 to 6 weeks away. I'm working on weddings that are coming up closer. But once you've sent that email off, you feel pretty good about it. They're taking time with that. Now, you'll check back in. I check back in around 3 weeks before the wedding to see if they have completed the forms. Hopefully they have. If they haven't, I'll be like, this is the last week. Please finish this up. Maybe one of them has finished it, one of them hasn't. So I will say, please get that done. Typically, that little prod helps them out. Then 2 weeks before the wedding day. So like today is Friday, for example. Jen has sent these emails out for my wedding 2 weeks from now. It happened today. It will be the first thing is a request for the final payment. Now remember, they agreed to this. I described this to them in our chemistry check, the process, and it's also in the contract that they need to pay me 2 weeks before the wedding in full when I ask for it. So we send them another link. Again, it's through Gravity Forms, right through my website. They pay with their credit card, super easy. And then they are locked in full. And so we're considering this to be, we're moving forward now. And that's how I know, okay, I got full payment. This is happening. There hasn't been any cancellations or weird stuff like that. So that email goes out requesting the final payment, 50%. And another email goes out where and I'm going to recommend this, look in on their form. Jen, I/Jen, me years ago, ever since I got Jen on board, she does this, sends out the email to the friends and relatives. I have a little survey for them. So the couple in their form, I asked them to give me some email addresses of friends or relatives, each of them. Remember, there's two of them. And so, I tell them, talk about it. Give me 3, 4, 5 email addresses, each of you, friends, relatives, people who you know will say amazing things about you. This is the day, 2 weeks before the wedding, where I email the friends and family whose emails they gave me and say, can you give me some amazing information? Tell me about what makes these two so awesome, so great together. And so we fire that email off. That's the 2 weeks ahead of time. Okay. So again, payment is done. I know that the friends and relatives got that email. They have 2 weeks with it. Believe it or not, if you do it earlier, you might think, well, 2 weeks, why 2 weeks? If you do it earlier, I think people open it up and go, oh, that wedding is weeks away. I don't need to deal with this. And they don't get back to you. They don't fill it out. If you do it later than that, I've tried, a week before. Well, then I think they open it up and they go, oh, I don't have time for this. And then you don't get an email back. You don't get a reply. So 2 weeks for me is the sweet spot. And again, because I ask for full payment 2 weeks before the wedding, it's just perfect. Those two things go hand in hand really well. Okay, so again, I'm not really thinking about popping in yet. I saw that the couple filled out the survey, so I'm not worried about that. I'm waiting now for the friends and relatives to fill out their thing. But in the meantime, so then a week before, so I'll let that week go by. And the week before is when I crack my knuckles and start writing the story. Remember, the script is done. It's a Google Doc. It's sitting there. The couple might have gone in there and changed some things, but I'm not really looking at any major changes or anything or writing the couple's story until the week of. Again, I have all the information, so I'm not stressed. I'm not quite as stressed as maybe Mark is writing the entire ceremony today for tomorrow. And I don't know when he booked that wedding. Life gets in the way. It's very busy sometimes. But I start on Monday, basically. I'm going to write the first couple acts of the story. I'm going to move through. I kind of set my schedule. I'm going to write what they love about each other. I kind of parse it out every day a little bit. I teach that in Unboring Wedding Academy, a 5-day writing process. So you're not sitting down saying, I got to work for hours on this today. I try to make it very simple. I am working on a Unboring Wedding love story generator right now, super excited about, which has turned a 3.5 to 4 hour love story writing process into about 30 minutes. If you're a member of Unboring Wedding Academy, you know that's coming because I've talked about it in office hours, and that's coming soon as inside the program to anybody who's a member. So that's pretty amazing to see that technology work, which again, I don't think it will change my process, and I wouldn't teach it any other way because the week of is when I want the wedding I'm doing this weekend. I want that couple's story really fresh in my mind. I want to have worked on it all the week leading up to, so that, for example, it's Brittany and George this weekend. I just wrote their story. It's fresh on my mind. I did notice that when I tried to be a bit more proactive and I wrote Brittany and George's story last week, for example, let's say, and the wedding that I'm officiating next week, I'm working on that story this week, it kind of messed me up, and I didn't like that. So that's why I work on their story the week of. Okay, so then I'm done by Friday. And I always say, even if you write the whole story on Thursday, give yourself a day. Always, Ernest Hemingway, the first draft of anything is, pardon my French, shit. The first draft of anything is shit. And I agree with that. Hemingway said it. You want to always come back to your draft. Give it a day, sleep on it, come back, and I'll be like, wow, why did I write? I can change that. This is a better word for that. Why didn't I think of it then? Because of fatigue or whatever. So don't Mark, give it a day. Reread this tomorrow, okay? I'm picking on Mark a lot today, but I know he can handle it, and he picks on me. And he's a consummate pro, and he's going to ace it like he always does. So this is the ideal timeline. You're finished by Thursday, I would say. I finished Brittany and George's story today. And yes, I'm going to the rehearsal tonight and the wedding's tomorrow. But today was the final draft. And then, of course, I recommend showing up at the rehearsal the day before. Remember, everything's paid up They have already signed the contract. You are fully paid. The story is done. They've seen the script. They haven't seen the story because remember, you sent them the full script without the story. And I never send a couple my monologue. That is top secret. They hear that right in the ceremony along with everybody else, which is why you get such big, fun reactions from the couple. It is such a blast because they filled out the survey. They know what you asked. They know what they said, although they don't ideally know what each other said. And then, of course, when they hear it along with everybody, they are absolutely having a great time, and the reactions are priceless. Okay, so to recap again, I am going to say 3 months ahead of time is when you look down and you say, okay, let's book the wedding ceremony workshop. Now, I have had people purchase the course 2 weeks ahead of time and go through the steps. Their couple is ready, eager, open. Let's meet in 2 days, sit down and have a workshop. Great. Then again, all the steps can be super compressed. It is possible. Some people have done this in a week. But again, because we're waiting on other people, I can't guarantee that you'll get the best outcome if other people don't do their part of this process. So, needing to book that meeting with the couple and have the wedding workshop, then getting them the survey, giving them 2 to 3 weeks to fill out the forms. And again, if you're pressed for time, you need to ask your couple, how quickly can we meet? And then how quickly can you make some time, half an hour or so, to fill out a survey about how you met and your first date and the proposal so I can write a nice 3-act love story arc. Can you do that for me pretty quickly? And that is up to them. Then, of course, you want to turn around, I'd say within a few days. Like I said, I tell the couple few days, but I do it next day. And they're like, wow, already? This is amazing. And if any couples are here watching this, great, spoiler alert. Now you know. I fully plan to do it the next day. Again, while the workshop is fresh on my mind as well. And so then they have it 4 to 6 weeks ahead of time whenever we have the meeting. Like I say, 2 weeks before then, I just kind of let everything sit dormant. I'm working on other weddings or things. 2 weeks before is when they pay in full, when I email their friends and relatives. And then the week of is when I'm writing their story. It's fresh in my mind. I do a little bit every day, so it's not a daunting mountain. And that is just the absolute best process, the timeline. Whether you have those 4 to 6 weeks or 2 weeks, that is the order. Like I said when I started out, those are the traffic cones, the pylons that you need to kind of drive through. And I know people are up at night. What did I forget? Is there something I forgot? Those are just so natural. You can't really do one without the other. They automatically require that you've already done the step before in the proper sequence. So you don't need to lay up at night wondering if you skipped a step, missed a step, where you should be in the process. Okay. So this one was, man, a bit longer than I like to do or thought it might be. It is the bottom of the hour. Now I'm going to just pop in and see. Thank you for those of you who joined. If you need to pop off now, that is kind of the official close of the Friday live question of the week. That is my answer. I'm so happy to jump in here and see if there's any questions. Let's see. Amanda says, everyone keeps asking me to officiate their wedding days before the wedding day. I'm not sure how to make that work with the wedding workshop. Before their wedding day? Are you saying, oh, wedding days before the wedding day? Yeah. I mean, so I'm not sure if their expectation, though, Amanda, is that you write a full like love story like this. This is where, as a pro, you might want to offer different packages. I just got asked if I'll do a quick, midweek wedding. This is kind of the elopement thing. Like I say, you can offer different packages. It all depends, Amanda. And this is the thing. If I were to reach back out to them, I would say, I want to create a really great ceremony centered around you and your love story. How much time can you make for me? You might have all your days open, Amanda, and be like, I could do this. But these steps are contingent on other people. So you always have to reach out and ask them first, can we sit down for a wedding workshop together? And can you fill out a little survey for me about how you met and those things? Okay. Jennifer's here. It says you can have all the credit. All right. I'm not taking all the credit, Jennifer. You know that. We have this debate all the time, this back and forth. Mike says, is it possible to see a copy of the contract to use as an example? On my website, unboringwedding.com, if you go to the blog and you type in contract in the search, I have written a whole blog, so I don't have the link right here. I have a whole blog about the contract, and there is kind of a template there. And of course, this is inside my course, Unboring Wedding Academy /pro. But it's on the blog as well to kind of help you walk through that. Okay. I could also recommend, let's face it, I'm going to recommend ChatGPT as well. That you could say, please write me a wedding officiant contract. ChatGPT does pretty well with stuff like that, but cross-reference that with my blog if you'd like. Thank you for the plug, Kirsty. I really appreciate that. Yeah, if you have pro questions, pro is like the full package, and it has been endorsed and certified by the International Association of Professional Wedding Officiants as part of their education credential as well. So I'm super excited about that. Just if you needed to know, is it legit? We have packed as much in there to help you, not just with the nitty gritty like this, but how to market yourself and things like that. Yeah, Justin, the next day is crazy fast. It's true. Hey, Tammy's here from Detroit. Jennifer says she's making me nervous, which is why she's here lurking. Glad you're here, Jen, because I get to gush about you. Gaming interviewer. Hi, Mark. Will you make a video for this timeline topic, or will this replay? Yeah, so if you go into my lives on my video channel, these are all still there. Every Friday live is there. You're right. I could make a more distilled, maybe over the night in the winter months. I'll mine this to make more compressed 10-minute videos. But yeah, all the live replays are there. Thanks for that, gaming interviewer. So just scrolling down, any questions? Sabra says she's taking the pro course, even though she's a grizzled pro. I love the lifetime learners. Sabra, you are obviously a member of the Celebrant Academy with the incredible Donna Forsyth. You're a part of that. And so I know that you guys are cream of the crop. So super flattered when you pop in here and say that. Mark says you don't share the script with anyone because it would totally spoil the lighthearted punchlines. Yeah. So again, that's your choice of not doing that. You don't share the script with anyone. I like the couple to sign off on everything. I know we have different opinions on that, different processes. Like I say, I don't show them the bulk of when I start talking. I don't want any of that. And I feel like you wouldn't have to include the punchlines as well. But those really key moments of, like, for example, when the marrier gets down the aisle, and if you're asking a question, or are you saying Mr. and Mr. at the end, last name or first names, I want them to see that stuff. Repeat after me vows, for example, or I want them to sign off on their vows. So there's all those moments that I want them to see and sign off on. We never want to surprise our couple in a bad way in the wedding ceremony. So Mike says, do the couples get separate questionnaires? So what we do, it's a great question, is they don't get separate questionnaires in the sense of different questionnaires, but they get the same link. So Google Form, it will be one link, and each person who has access to that link can make their own submission, basically. So if you sent an email to 50 people with that link, you could theoretically get 50 replies back. You're only sending this email to the couple, so they will both click on that one link and answer back, and you'll get the two sets of responses, Mike. That's how that works. Does that make sense? Can I send a draft of my third act love story for feedback and thoughts? Yes. Dustin, you are a member of Unboring Wedding Academy. For example, Alan did that today. He said it's finally here. It's a month away. I'm happy to, if you're an Unboring Wedding Academy member, I am happy to look at your work, because, as you know, a part of that program, as I say when I shoot you on Bonjoro, I just shot one for Mary moments before I came on here. I am here to support you directly every step of the way. I've shot this welcome video 1,000 times, literally. So absolutely, I want you to be the very best on the wedding day as well. Okay, where's the second book, Jane? I'm. It's in development. I just need to do the old butt in chair. Summers are very busy. The good thing, Jane, is the second book, of course, because book one is stage one of Academy, book two would be stages 2 to 6, basically, which, of course, you're a member, so you already have. So the content wouldn't be news to you. But writing a book is hard because there's just a lot of butt in chair time. The way that I wrote this book was called a 30-day challenge, where you sit down and you do 2 to 3 Pomodoro writing sessions, 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes. You don't edit, you don't censor yourself, you just plug, and you write your whole first draft like that in 30 days. Then you go back and start deconstructing, rewriting, all that stuff. So it's interesting for anybody who's written a book, you know this. You do the mountain. You just make the mountain of words and data at first. Get the first draft done, and then you kind of start going and moving parts around and rewriting parts. But that is how I did it. So it just takes a long time. Gaming interview, another question. Sorry I joined late, but did you go over all the questions and include that in questionnaire? Is that something on your blog? Maybe. So I don't typically, talk about, that's all in the academy. The questionnaire, the process that I teach is a 3 act story arc. So I don't want to hit the couple with 10 questions and know their favorite color and their favorite food. I want to tell, and this is what I teach in the academy, how did you meet? What were your first impressions? What was the first date like? Because there's so much awkwardness, sweetness, romance, all that stuff. And tell me how the proposal went. It's 3 questions. Then what they love about each other and why they're getting married. I don't want this to be arduous. And I just want to tell their story for about 10 minutes in the wedding ceremony. And that is it. Okay. Okay, so that hire a satellite writer, a ghost writer, Justin. I want to write it myself. It's just a matter of finding the time. Okay, everybody, I do have a island wedding to get to, which sounds, you picture palm trees, but it's really, it's very different than that. And I don't want these Friday Lives to be arduous for people joining. I'm noticing the room is emptying a little bit. I love that so many of you joined. I think I may talk. I'm away next week. I'm going to another island, Prince Edward Island, for my proper family vacation. We went camping and slept in the dirt for a few nights a couple weeks ago. Now we're going to stay in a proper Airbnb house on the coast, be a little bit cleaner, go to some beaches, that kind of thing. So I won't be here next week, but 2 weeks from now, Donna tagged me in the Wedding Officiants of America Facebook group. Shout out to Donna, who oversees that group. Just about some people who are wondering about like their stories and fresher ideas and that kind of thing. So, and there were questions here about the questionnaire. And I think in a couple weeks, I'll be ready to kind of talk about my Unboring Wedding Love Story Generator, where, like I say, you put the couple's answers in and you get a very, very decent love story that, of course, you'll still want to tweak. I talked about this in members' office hours. Anytime you use any sort of AI machine, you definitely want to use it as a starting point and tweak and massage and make it your own. But these tools are cutting down hours and hours of work, no matter what industry you're in. So I know that makes some people cringe, but I think maybe 2 weeks from now, I'm not committing to it right now, but I will talk more about kind of story stuff, the kind of stuff that I talked about on stage at Wedding MBA last year. It was mentioned a few times today, unboringweddingacademy.com. Pop in there, get your invite if you want to join the academy. So many people here are incredible members. And the pro course talks more about that full process, including contracts and payment and best practices around that, marketing yourself, just all the ethical stuff. Like I said, it certifies you with Unboring Wedding on unboringwedding.com/certified and IAPWO. So check that out at unboringweddingacademy.com/pro. I am so honored to be colleagues with you and learning with you all the time. And so thanks again for joining me on a Friday. I know a lot of you have weddings. There was a lot of crunch time happening here. So all the best to you. And hopefully this was helpful as you figure out the best timeline for you. But this one is pretty foolproof. And I've been using it for, since I started Unboring Wedding Academy years and years, and it's never failed yet, especially with Jen Obicata's help. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. This was an absolute thrill as always. Marry on.